Hey everyone, this lesson is for Unit 8, pages 9, 10, and 11. So we're going to continue working with tables, functions, and graphs. So it says graph the function y equals 6 minus x. So again, we're just doing 6 minus 1 is 5. 6 minus 3 is 3. 6 minus 5 is 1. And then we're graphing that. So 1, comma, 5, 1, 5, 3, 3, 5, 1, and then drawing our line. So let's go ahead and down here, and all these are pretty similar here. I'm going to go ahead and do number 3 because it looks like it might be the most challenging one. So it gives us the function y equals x divided by 2 plus 2. So whatever these values are, we're just going to plug in for x. So let's go ahead and try this. So we're going to do 1 divided by 2 plus 2. Well, that's a half plus 2, so literally 2.5. So I'm just going to write 2.5. I'm going to write it as a decimal. We can write it as a fraction as well, either way. Now, here we're going to put 2 divided by 2 plus 2. Well, 2 divided by 2 is 1, plus 2 is 3. Okay, I'm just kind of drawing the line to separate the problems. Here I'm doing 3 divided by 2 plus 2. Well, 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. So we're going to get 3.5. So hopefully you kind of notice the pattern here. From here to here, we're adding a half. From here to here, we're adding a half. So the next number, again, following that pattern, we would get 4 and 4.5. Okay, so at this point, we need to kind of go over to the graph. I'm going to look at and focus on my whole numbers, so like 2, 3, and 4, 5. Again, x is always first, y is always second, so 2, 3 would be over to the 2, and then up to the 3. So 2, 3 is right here, and then we have 4, 4, so 4, 4 is right here. Okay, now I have these 2 points, and so they're going to create that straight line. I'm just going to go ahead and draw in my line. Now I'm going to put arrows on both sides because, again, these functions, they will continue forever. So, again, you can always go back and rewatch these as many times as you need to, or pause it while you're watching the video. That's how we're going to go through these tables. I try to pick the more challenging one. You guys can go through the others and see what you get. Feel free to use your calculator. Feel free to put them in decimals. That's all fine. Okay. Going to the next page, page 10. All right, these are just a couple examples. You can feel free to read through those. Again, it's asking us just to write equations. So we're looking for patterns. Okay, we're looking for patterns. And honestly, what I like to do is I like to start right at 0. So I'm kind of drawing a line in here. For now, I'm going to ignore the negatives. I'm just going to start looking at 0. So what happens from 0 to 6? Well, it looks like I'm adding 6. 1 plus 6 is 7. 2 plus 6 is 8. So it's a lot easier. I love looking at 0 and 1 first when I'm trying to figure out a pattern. The negatives can be confusing to look at. So again, that's just my advice there. Always look at 0 first. So my equation is going to be y is equal to x plus 6. Okay, and that kind of makes sense because we're taking whatever x is and we're adding 6 to it to get y. So now we can plug that in. Okay, 1 plus 6 is 7. See how that works? 2 plus 6 is 8. Okay, that one works. So moving on to number 2, remember our suggestion here of just kind of drawing this line right here and only looking at 0 first. So, all right, so I'm at 0. Then I go to -4. Well, how would I get from 0 to -4? Well, we would subtract 4, right? So that's kind of our idea right now. So now let's try that again with 1. So if you start on a number line, say we're on a number line and we're at 1. Well, there'd be 0, there'd be -1, -2, -3, okay? So we're right here at positive 1, and we subtract 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see how I end up at negative 3, which is exactly what that is. So I'm pretty sure here our rule is x minus 4. So we're going to go ahead and write that y equals x minus 4. Now to test it, what you want to do is you want to take in this value and plug it in. So 2 minus 4, and again, you can try that with a calculator. Sometimes negatives are tricky to think about. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. So it works. You could even test your negatives up here with your calculator. Again, though, when you're trying to figure out your rule, don't look at the negatives. That's pretty tricky sometimes. Okay, so that's how we're going to do this page, and that was page 10. So then if we go ahead and flip to page 11, which actually happens to be the last page in our packet, we're going to continue doing that. Just remember what I suggested about only looking at 0 and 1 to start with. So right away, just go ahead. Let's see. Let's pick one. Let's just draw the line right here on number 7. So notice how we're starting at 0. We're going to negative 9. So to do that, we'd have to subtract 9, right? And then 1 minus 9 is negative 8. 2 minus 9 is negative 7. Again, you can check all those with your calculator. So we're going to go ahead and write y equals x minus 9. Okay? And if you check it, you'll notice that that does work for that table of data. Again, we kind of have 3 ways to show relationships. We have an equation, we have tables, and we have graphs. So right now I'm given a table, and we're asked to make an equation. Sometimes when we have an equation, we're asked to make a graph, and then we need to use a table. So all 3 of those things kind of go hand in hand for us to be able to work with all this information. All right, so number 9, this could be tricky if we're just looking at it. It says make a table of values to describe the graph, then write the equation. So they're not giving us the table, but they are giving us the graph. And you know, again, what I'm going to ask that you do, just focus on the positive. So we know that quadrant 1 is positive, positive, right? So just focus over here. I'm not even worried about the negative side right now. Okay, so let's take a look at this thing. So I'm going to say that x is 0, okay? So when I do that, at x is 0, right here, y is positive 2. So I'm just going to write 2. Okay, and then right here, when x is 1, y is 3. So I'm going to write 1, 3. And then right here, it's x is 2, y is 4. So I'm going to write 2, 4. And after that, you know what? Our line goes off the graph. But I have enough information right here for me to figure this out. Okay, so what happens to x to get to y? 0 to 2, well, that looks like plus 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay, you know what? That works. So y equals x plus 2. Okay, so that's our pattern, and that's what we're going with there. So just kind of be able to take data from a graph, move it to a table, and then come up with an equation to represent the whole thing. Now here they're giving us the graph, and they're giving us an equations. What are we missing? We're missing the table. So you're going to want to go ahead and start with just doing an XY table. All right, getting your quadrant 1 data in the table, and then figuring out what the pattern is, and then find the equation that matches that pattern. That's probably the most efficient way and easiest way to work through these types of problems. Okay. When you finish today's lesson, your entire packet for Unit 8 should be done, and you now can submit this packet completed to Google Classroom. Again, if you did it on paper, you can just take pictures of those things and submit those to Google Classroom as well. Either way is totally fine. I hope you're having a great day, and we'll see you soon.